Everybody, they're back. Scenery is back. The worst add-on developer for the Microsoft Flight Sim universe. And for some reason, they're still allowed to be on the marketplace of the Microsoft Flight Sim. I don't get it. Look, every week or so, they come up with 10 airplanes. Only recently, we talked about the 757-300 in a video, which sucked. I mean, we didn't have a 757 before, but this one hurts my soul. I kind of just wish that the yoke would be a little bit similar. Anyway, since then, they've come up with 20 new airplanes. You know, kind of quantity over quality situation a little bit. And these planes seem a little bit interesting. The Boeing 747-200 Professional. They're kind of screaming there with a caps lock. You know, I see their blueprint. All their planes cost 11 euros and 19 cents. And all of them bring sorrow all over the world. You know, the reason why the 747-200 is quite interesting is because it's a very old 747, of course. It's not the modern 747-8 that we have for the Microsoft Flight Sim. But not only does it have, of course, a shorter bump with a smaller cabin. See, the 747-200 only has 10 windows in the upper deck. Although I think the windows on this one are situated a little bit too low. Should be more high. Does that make sense? Anyway, but what's very interesting is that the 747-200, of course, has a very different cockpit as well. Not only shall we find quite the non-glass cockpit that was in LCD screens back in the day, but we should also find an entire engineering panel in the back where the flight engineer would do the engines and hydraulics and electrics and stuff. Let's see how that goes for 11 euros and 19 cents. Buy and download. It's kind of like opening Tinder. You're just ready for disappointment. Step back into aviation history with the Boeing 747-200 Professional, an ultra-realistic add-on for the Microsoft Flight Simulator. This meticulously crafted model delivers unparalleled accuracy and immersion, perfect for enthusiasts, virtual pilots, and those who appreciate the legendary queen of the skies in its prime. Dude, this is so ChatGPT generated, but it's not even like good. And they say fully animated aircraft, which is not true. You know, while I'm downloading this, reading through the minimum requirement, yeah, it's great that this thing runs on a RX 59. This thing is like, what, 50,000 years old. It costs 160 euros graphics card. Talking about that, why does it say video memory here? It should be RAM, random access memory, not video memory, because that would be very high stat. I don't have 16 gigabytes of video. This is so stupid. Like, have they no quality control to even check at least that, the minimum requirements? That is so dumb. All right, so it's downloaded. 4.8 stars, by the way. This thing seems to be really good. Kind of doubt that. All right, so it is Boeing 747-200. Only have one delivery. It's only Lufthansa. Let's spawn up onto the ground. Come on, can't be that bad. Won't be that good either, though. All right, so welcome to Wellington Airport. And, you know, the good scenery of this airport really makes this plane look quite a lot better. Like, it doesn't look super sucky anymore. And you know what? I'm gonna give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they've actually improved it. I kind of am scared to look into the inside of the plane, but I mean, of course, the outside model is exactly what you would expect. This plane is like split into like pieces, and you can like see that. It's not, they haven't done a good job here. For example, I don't even know what this is. This is definitely broken. But look, everybody, what I'd really like to see is the new landing gear, because they have actually improved on the landing gear design. This is a relatively okay landing gear model. Now, granted, none of any of this is connected to anything. You can see that here. This is just a free stat. That makes no sense. Look at that nose landing gear. It seems a bit flat. I think they haven't properly set up the actual height of this plane and how far the tire goes into the ground, you know. Anyway, look, we've got a APU hole that's really just, I don't know why it shouldn't be painted white, dude. The textures are just not there. Like, what in the Lego is even that? They have not really done any improvements on the spinner. It still looks like some white paint that runs off. It's not supposed to look like that. Anyway, this model is really just what I expected. It's just lifeless. It kind of doesn't make sense. Like, how about we start by making the livery actually sort of straight? But hey, they got the spelling right of Lufthansa. Other than that, it sucks. Anyway, let's get into the cockpit. You know, I really want to see this. All right, everybody, look at that. So we have got a actual sort of, what is that on Copilot? What is that instrumentation? I mean, just like in every airliner, you know, for the captain and for the first officer, the instruments are the exact same. You know, you have the artificial horizon here in the middle, of course, and then the compass. But what in the world is that? Why is the horizontal? Why is that on the left? That's like confusing to fly. Why is there a radar altitude? And oh my God, what is even this here? Fuel quantity, and why it shouldn't be, fuel quantity should be set to 0 because obviously there's nothing to power that gauge because the plane isn't on. Anyway, this is this is really bad. The old 747 autopilot was a lot different to the modern 747 autopilot. This is just the modern one. I mean, look at a comparison. That's like nowhere near what all they did here is take the 747-8 model that's already released for the flight sim, because it came with it, and change this dashboard right here to new instruments that probably suck. This localizer doesn't make any sense, especially in the throttle quadrant. You can see a lot of difference. This is just the 747-8 right here with the cutoff switches, you know, the fuel control. Basically, this is what it looked like in the real 747, and this obviously also makes no sense. The comm panel, this is all wrong. But the question is there an engineering panel? Of course not. That's very sad. Yeah, the overhead panel is definitely not what it looks like in real life. Once again, this is real life. This is what this plane is, obviously, because the entire engineering panel that would be here has been compressed into the overhead panel. Okay, anyway, let's turn on this plane. Luckily, I know how to fly the 747-8, so this is great, very automated airplane. We can just set the APU to start, and it, like, literally, this is easy. Like, this is as easy as an Airbus, which makes no sense because this is a 747-200, which you can struggle to fly in real life. Anyway, this screen definitely should not be white. Should rather be alien green. Why? Because they use CRT screens in the real 747-200s, because it's the old plane. This is just the menu of the 747-8. This plane at least knows that it's a 200, and it knows that it's got JT9D engines. So, but yeah, if you can fly the 747-8, you can definitely fly this, because it's all the same. This is just probably different texture, like a bad texture as well. This is just making me mad. All right, APU should be on, I think. APU generator is available. Let's turn it on. That makes no difference here. Is there any lights we can set up here? Definitely not. We can change the panel lighting, whatever that does. I like how this cockpit still thinks that there's a display right here, but there isn't. It's kind of just been amputated. But honestly, there's nothing more special than a classic cockpit like this at night. Because look at this. How does this plane look at night, I wonder? Please don't be black. I think my dad said this when I was born. What in the f is this? What? All right. The reason why we've got so yellow... Oh my god, this looks so horrible. The reason why we've got yellow lighting is because of the outside light here. Let's maybe go and do this. All right, that looks even worse. Now we've got green light. This is like non-flyable at night. Why is it also non-flyable? Because none of the lights on the outside work. We can turn on the nav lights, strobe lights, wing lights, logo lights, taxi lights, and all that stuff. Turn on all the good stuff, and nothing happens. The airplane is pitch black. The hell? All right, let's turn on the like the in-op is tweaking. This is all just tweaking. Let's see if we can turn on the 4 engine. I'm just sad. All right, I think we might need to turn on the fuel pumps or something. Not really. Look, that APU is available, and we can actually wait. We can hear the engine. We can hear the engine. We don't. We just can't. We just can't. We don't. What? What does any of this mean? There is no RPM counter here. We've got 1% of power on the 4th engine, but there is no power showing up. What the hell? Fuel control on? What? Wait, do these instruments not... It's like, look, this is turning. It's working. 4th engine is turning. It just doesn't show that. Oh my god, please don't tell me you didn't do the engine. I bought this. I bought money. I paid money. Come on, man. Really? Engine number 3, is there any magic here? I don't even know why we got 6 instruments. That's definitely not what it was in the real plane either. Like, why? This plane doesn't have 6 engines. You just had free space here because it didn't want to put like others, like the annunciators right here where we'd see the warning lights and stuff. Of course, this plane doesn't have it. This thing is a landing grass on the 747-200, and it doesn't even make sense. It's not an airworthy airplane. Okay, turn on all the other engines that don't function according to the cockpit. So this is interesting. Why is this pressure now at 1 point? Why is this RPM counter? Why do we have... Which instruments is which? Like, I'm advancing power on the 4th engine. What does that do? Nothing. Okay. Advancing power on the 1st engine. What does that do? Oh, the 1st engine does 3 gauges. What the hell? All right, this is confusing. All right, let's set up the flaps right here, which is nice, very satisfying, because like none of them actually latch into proper places. Nor is flaps 10 available, or 25. Let's set flaps 10. All right, let's do 5 then. I'm happy. Let's see if the flaps even come out though. I think they do. But here is the grand presentation. Do the speed brakes work? No, they still don't. They still don't. Yeah, animation-wise, they say it's fully animated, which is like probably the biggest lie since Santa Claus, because like it doesn't work. We can look. The funniest thing is when you start taxing. Okay, let's go and give him a bit of power. Come on, release park and brake. Yeah, and then you start turning. They still haven't figured out how to turn off. Get the nose to turn. Don't have a nose turning. You know, with all the projects I do on the channel for X-Plane, I literally make better add-ons. than this. Hey, but at least the rudder works. Hey, that's a start. The horizontal stabilizer. Wow. And even, yes, the ailerons, they work. All right, anyway, let's see if the compass moves. So this shows north. Okay, it's still weird because it doesn't make sense. Like, that's not how a compass works, is it? Or am I tweaking now? Either way, this plane sounds oddly locked like the 7478 because it is the same thing. Anyway, everything, let's go ahead and take off now. Some of the engines are working, apparently. All right, let's go full power. Good. Now, we want to see the airspeed alive. Where the hell is the airspeed indicator? That's like one of the most important instruments. All right, it's right there. 1 knot. 1 knot is good. We've got 1 knot going. Well, it's sort of... Wait. Let me just pause this while I'm starting to run over a car. This thing says we're at 150 knots, but we're at 130 knots. Like, this is not coherent with the actual speed. Why does this thing say we're at Mach 0.6, dude? This thing says that we're at half the speed of sound. Great. Okay, let's go. Rotate at a Mach 0.7. Great. Look at that, normal. Now, the 747 in real life has total landing gear and very nice total landing gear. You know, look at that. But this one, surely not. This one is not good. Let's go and put the landing gear up, which never really works because like maybe now. The landing gear lever is definitely up. Like, you have to put it up manually. You have to like really use the handle in the cockpit and then it comes up, right? Yeah, now it does. Wow, that is the worst animation I've seen ever. And what in the world are those landing gear doors? They're just different colors. This makes no sense. Either way, I mean, the cockpit is just absolutely shocking, right? Let's go and put this autopilot on. Does it work? Oh, yeah, it does. All right, I like how the radar altitude does not work, so we don't know how high we are above ground. We're still at Mach 0.8, which is nice. Very fast plane. I haven't really figured whether the horizontal... Yeah, that works. The artificial horizon works. It's just wrong because it's actually mirrored. When we're turning right, you see that the artificial horizon should actually show the ground with a dark side, right? So it should also turn right, but it doesn't. Okay, good. So far the verdict is that it's just, it's kind of what I expected. But what I want to see is whether this thing has a cabin. Well, kind of. Look at that. This is a big step for M scenery. It didn't have this kind of stuff before. Luxurious, lot of room. Now, in real life, there would be stairs here. There just isn't. There just is kind of the cockpit. Let's go downstairs where we see a bit of a cabin. Hey, they're really improving there. You just need some seats and an ability to watch out the windows. I don't even want to tell you. This makes me sad. I just want to land. I wonder if this thing can actually shoot an ILS. Probably. That's very impossible, isn't it? You may ask now, oh, Swiss, why does this plane have like, what, 4.8 stars, although it's so unarguably bad? Well, I think the general Xbox player doesn't really care. By the way, this thing has a mind of its own. Like, I can't disengage the autopilot. Nor is it on, but it's doing something. Normal Xbox player just says, oh, look at this cockpit. But I'm going to fly it from the outside view where I can see these, what I think is like static wicks or something on the horizontal stabilizer. They see this and they think, this is a perfect model. I'll give it 5 stars. I wish the Microsoft Flight Sim Marketplace would have designed their review system so that you could actually add texts, you know? But they don't care. They just want people to buy stuff. And, you know, Xbox users would say, oh, this is great. Look, we've got an old plane. The radar altitude I can't get to work. This is just sad. Shut up. Stop stalling. You're at 160 to 70 knots or something like that. You should be totally fine. Let's do a landing. Although this is like, the thing is, like, we're in the cockpit seat now, but it's kind of slightly off-centered, which is really annoying. Kind of makes no sense at all. Oh my god, we're genuinely stalling. We're at 150 knots. The thing is stalling. This makes 0 sense, and now we've completely messed it up. Let's just land. Right, here it is. Here it is, coming up for landing. That looked as satisfying as it could. Let's go and put the reverse thrust out. And yeah, of course, this has no reverse thrust animation. So this completely sucks. I can't do this any longer. Don't buy this. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, good night. Help me. And a special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters. Guns Killer, R27, James Duram, that dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijitsu Fighter, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New the York. You've got beautiful names.